the Analogue Nt. You already know what this is. It's a fancy redesigned NES in a new chassis with new electronics, and it outputs fantastic video and audio over HDMI. And you already know that part. You've been to a website and it showed you the comparison pictures between this, crappy composite video over here and fancy 1080p scaled HDMI output over there. That part is absolutely amazing. But that's not really what the Analogue is. The Analogue is this redesigned chassis, and then on the inside, you've got this redesigned motherboard, and the HDMI output is a guy called Kevtris made this Hi-Def NES board, which does all the scaling and HDMI output. And that's a $200 NES mod that I don't think is easily available yet, but that's a $200 mod on a nearly $600 package. And on top of that, these are selling for like $800 to $1,000 right now. And I'm here to tell you that is way too much to spend on an Analogue Nt. Do not go and spend $1,000 on an Analogue Nt. The Analogue Nt part is okay. I'm not going to tell you it's bad. It's okay. So you got this aluminum chassis. It's fine. The cartridge slot is a little bit of a pain in the ass. So on the original top loader, you could just kind of jam it in there with one hand. It takes a little bit more pressure here, and sometimes you have to center the connector up with the cartridge just a little bit. And that's because there's a lot of forward and back play here. And it just gives it a kind of cheap feel on a $600 console. I don't know, that doesn't feel as good as the original top loader felt. And another problem is these cartridges, they kind of pop out, and you've got these flaps here, these aluminum flaps, and people have had problems with them scratching the cartridges on the edges here. Supposedly that only happens on the first generation. Mine's a second generation. I haven't had any problems with it. But what they're doing is they're designing a plastic kind of thing that goes around the whole cartridge slot and basically just holds it open. So you're going to have this machined aluminum block, and you're going to see this cheap little piece of plastic that's holding the cartridge slot permanently open. It just feels like a shitty solution to a design problem of making these flaps metal rather than plastic. I don't know. I'm not really buying this whole aluminum chassis thing, really adding that much value. Another kind of problem I have, the power button is back here. Why is the power button back here? Could we not put it on the front or the top of the console? Just have you be able to reach it? If people are putting this in like their entertainment center or something, it's just going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass that makes it just slightly worse than an NES console. And this thing for $600 or $800 or $1,000 should be 100,000 times better than your original NES console. Another kind of problem I have, the 4-score doesn't fit here. And it's not like way off, it's off by like a millimeter. And if they just made those controller ports just a little bit further apart, we could have fit the 4-score in there. Or the NES satellite or whatever other NES accessories there are. And I get that's not really important. You've already got the 4 ports built in, but I like adding the turbo functionality to my original controllers. And I work around that. You can use an extension cord, but I don't know. What else do I have to say about it? The support was really good. They actually shipped me one with a European power supply. I emailed them about it. 2 hours later to me, they got back to me and said they'd ship me out the correct power supply. So that was a really, really nice turnaround. It's nice to know that if you're spending a ton of money on one of these, that they do have good support like that. Overall, I think it's good. I think that the analog part is okay. The Kevtris HDMI output is completely fantastic. It is amazing. But if that's all you care about, then just get the Kevtris mod whenever it comes out. It's going to be like $200, and you get to keep your Toaster NES. And the Toaster NES is kind of better than the Analogue. I mean, if you really need to have an aluminum NES, whatever, but I just think it's easier. It's nostalgic, pressing down on it and hearing that click. And I've never come across an NES that I couldn't fix. So the redesigned electronics of the NT, that's not really the exciting part to me. The exciting part is the 1080p output and the scaling and the no latency. So that's just what I have to say about this. I think that the secondhand market for the Analogue Nt is out of control, but overall, just good product. If I was a normal person, absolutely, I'm waiting for the Hi-Def NES mod and not buying an Analogue right now. That said, never selling it. I love this thing.